Hello and welcome to the Fit and Fabulous at Any Age podcast. I'm your host today, Brooklyn, with my two co-hosts, my mom Camille and Coach Amanda as well. Today we're going to be talking about the self-talk is why you're stuck in fat loss. I feel like this is a really underlooked thing that women don't think through or even consider when they're dealing with struggles with fat loss. So today we're going to dive into it. So I guess we'll just start with Amanda and you, Mom. Um, I don't know, what did your self talk sound like when you felt like you were stuck and you weren't seeing any progress?
It was pretty negative. It was pretty bad. The
Oh,
things that we say. Oh, can you hear me?
yeah, no, I was asking what were some of the things you were saying to
Oh,
yourself?
sorry. The things that you say to yourself, or it's terrible. I was like, oh, way to screw up again. Nothing's working for me. My body must just be broken. I screwed up. I'm not as fit as her, or I didn't make as progress as fast as her. And it really gets you in a really tight spot where you're like, well, I just want to throw the towel in because nothing works. But that's not true. It does work. You just have to realize that um, you need to follow your what works for your body, because what works for your body isn't what works for so and so down the street, and that's where a coach comes into hand.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What about you, Mom? Like when you were feeling stuck, like what were some of the I don't know, things you were saying in your head when you were feeling like, oh man, I'm not seeing any progress, or maybe just like before you started working on your self talk and the way you talk to yourself.
I just remember the many things I tried, and I'm like, well, that didn't work. Like, I don't even like the food. Like, my body, it's lost a little bit, but it's not working. I'm not feeling good. I'm not liking the food. There's no way I can keep this up. I don't even want to keep this up. Yeah. And then, you look at your body and you're like, I'm just not much farther along than I was. And, that's really frustrating because you just start this big yo yo and it's like you buy new clothes, you lose weight, and then you go right back. And so you stop buying new clothes after a while because you're like, or you just keep all the bigger clothes. And to me, that there's something about keeping your old clothes that are bigger. It's you always give yourself permission to go back there. And so it was just a really frustrating journey. And I feel like, with so much trauma that your body carries, sometimes you're not quite ready to let go of that yet, or you haven't quite hit rock bottom. And so it's really frustrating when your body's going through so much trauma and trying to find ways to really come out of it, because I feel like it's your mind that gets you out of it first. That takes a while. It takes a while. You got to be patient with yourself. And I don't think I had to hit rock bottom like a couple times. And I remember the last time I hit rock bottom, and that it was, I'm just like, I I don't want to do this anymore. I want to find something that works. And so I think that's when I really started thinking about something completely different than what I had done for years and years. Just very different. So yeah, it's hard because your mind's got to get there first, I feel like, because it's like you can do so much with your eating and your working out, but it's your mind that gets you to thinking about something different. Like, this all isn't working. I need something different that's actually going to change, that I'm going to like. And so it's almost like you need some kind of intervention. You need friends to come into your life sometimes. Certain people come into your life for a reason, and you have to be ready. And then you just grab hold of it like really hard. And and then that's when you're like, okay, this is it, and it's going to work. And then I think that's when it really started working for me, as I knew it was different. And it was something different than I'd done for years. Like, it was just different. And I just, something clicked, like, this is going to work. So just a lot of things. It's like everything just kind of came at me at once. And I was tired. I was so tired of feeling weak and just weak. And so I was ready for a change. I was ready for a big change, and I was ready to put the work in. Like I had worked before, but I was ready for the change. So that's kind of what changed for me. And um, yeah.
That I think, your self-talk really like can get you to where you want to be, or it will like literally keep you from being where you want to be, like in a heartbeat. If you're constantly telling yourself like this won't work, this won't work, this won't work, probably not going to work. Like I always tell my clients that if when they're like, "Oh, well, this I don't know if this is going to work." And I'm like, "Well, you haven't tried." And honestly, if you keep talking to yourself like that, you're probably right. But if you try and it's something different than you've ever done, and you have the right support and the right coaching, like you're probably going to get there. You just need to tell yourself and remind yourself this is going to work for me. And I think like once you shift that, it will work for you. But it's, like I feel like it's really easy to let especially if you've spent a lot of time like things not working, it's easy to go let yourself back into that slippery slope. Self-talk though, there's been numerous studies that have been published and put out there. Like Precision Nutrition is really big about putting them out there about
Mhm.
how positive self-talk like really does change your ability to lose weight and to lose fat and actually keep it off. And I feel like that's something that a lot of women don't think about, and they just think like, oh, it's my diet and my training. I'm like, it's also your self-talk, because think about it. If you fall off track, you have an off day, and you are constantly being harsh on yourself, you're going to be in this cycle of just overeating and then saying F it and then back to restriction. So you've got to learn how to be kinder to yourself and talk to yourself better. So I guess like for you guys, well, Mom, you already kind of said what shifted for you. What shifted for you, Amanda, that helped you stay a little bit more consistent when it comes to not only your self-talk, but like what you were doing, so then that way you could start, I guess, like what are some of the things you start working on with your self-talk? Because I mean, I remember working with you in the beginning, you were never like a negative person. I would never have I ever experienced like a bunch of negativity from you. You're not naturally a negative person, but I think like you had a lot of maybe some self-doubt. You maybe had some like old versions of yourself, like also worrying, like thinking like I'm never going to be where I want to be without like heavy restriction. Tell me, and I guess like explain to the audience like what you did differently and how you shifted that.
Yeah, great questions. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I come off very positive, but it's interesting how I am like that for others as a coach and as like a daughter and a sister. But for myself, my self-talk was terrible for years. And I was dieting myself, doing everything by myself and trying, Atkins, Weight Watchers, basically all the same programs, but just wrapped up differently, like in a shinier package. Like they're all basically like super low calories and they don't give you the support. And so you just think, well, I'm a failure if I don't adhere to these low calories. But it's like, no, um, I just didn't realize that just it wasn't working. And I hear a lot of clients say this, and I'm sure you girls have too, where they're like, well, it worked. I just fell off of it. I'm like, but did it really work? If you can adhere to it for 2 or 3 months and then you're starving and you're waking up at 3 in the morning because your cortisol's so high. So I remember being like in those client shoes when I was a client, well, I just need to adhere to it better. And then I found Fierce Queen and my coach Brooklyn, and she was like, well, did it really work if you were miserable and your hair is falling out, your gut suffering and all this? So it's like, you have to realize like, yeah, it wasn't working. Yeah, it got me smaller, but at what cost? The cost of my mental health, my hormonal health was bad. My gut health was bad. It was never bad before. So it makes you realize like, okay, this isn't really working. This is just a quick fad, like not even fake, just a quick like method of getting smaller, but not healthier. So then I realized, do I really want to be the smallest version of myself at that risk? And if I'm doing it that quick where I'm not feeling good? And I got to a point where I was like, no. So I started changing my self-talk and being like, okay, I had to practice patience a lot because I was so used to the quick, like lose 10 pounds in a month. But then I was like, then I binged and then I would lose my hair, lose my period. So it's like, the mindset is so important and huge, and it's a huge component of what a lot of these programs like lack, because they're not helping women with the mindset. Like, you need to be very patient and realize that to do it the right way, you will see results week to week, but it's not going to be 10 pounds 1 month. Otherwise, you're losing muscle, your metabolism's tanking. So I really had to shift my mindset around, okay, patience, trust my coach, trust the process, trust my body. And I think, Brooklyn, you said this when I first started. You said you're not special, but not in a bad way. You said you're not a special case. And I was like, I don't know what she means. And then she explained, she said, everyone thinks my body's broken. This won't work for me. My metabolism's shot. Everyone else can have success with this. But she's like, you can too. You just have to believe it. And then I was like, I think I know what she means. And so I tell my clients this now. I'm like, trust me, you're not that percentage that it doesn't work for. It works for everyone. It just takes time. And you have to believe it. And you have to give yourself more grace when you fall off, because you are going to have days that you fall off. But the key is picking yourself back up and keep going and not throwing the towel in. And that's where I had to really work with not an all or nothing mindset, but consistency, and allow myself to believe I'm not the exception. It will work for me. I just have to believe it and put the time in.
I love that. I agree with, well, yeah, that was, yeah. It's funny, you say those things, I'm like, I don't remember saying that, but that sounds a lot like me because I'm super blunt.
But it was like what I needed, because we get inside our own head sometimes. It's funny because like I get like really offended, like if someone were to tell me something like out of the blue and I didn't like want it, but like I noticed like I don't respond with people that are just like, yeah, you're doing good, just keep going. But like I need like a combination of you're doing good, but this is what you need to work on, because otherwise you're not going to change. You need to get like a little outside your comfort zone. And then for someone to be like, this will work for you, but you need to change how you're thinking. And it was like a light bulb moment. So it was amazing. I needed that and appreciate it.
That reminds me of like, even me right now, working towards, I've got a show in like 3 weeks. And it's really mental. Like whether you're prepping for a show or you're trying to lose body fat or you're trying to build muscle, like anything you do is super mental. And I would say like, if you believe it, that's where you're going to end up. So like, for me, for a minute there, like there was a lot of like self-doubt and a lot of like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that point where, I'm going to be where I want to be. I finally got to a point, I'm like, enough of this like bullshit, Brooklyn. Like, stop talking to yourself like that. Like, you've got to stop saying that to yourself, and you've got to tell yourself, like, this is going to happen for you. You're going to get there. It is going to happen. It's not a matter of like, how quickly is it going to happen, but it will happen for you. You just have to keep showing up. And so I think that's where a lot of women get stuck, is they start losing belief in their ability to get there. But honestly, like, that's when you need to check yourself. First of all, you got to make sure that you are working with the right person who understands how to help you. I'd say that's number one. Because yeah, if you're doing a program that just spins the wheels, like, you're wasting your time. Make sure you're working with a coach who understands this. And like, I would say, like, for our clients, you're in a good spot because we deal with difficult fat loss. And number two, like, make sure you have accountability to keep you on track and to keep you in a place where you are showing up even if you have an off week. And then just like checking your own self-talk too. I love my clients because they usually like, I would say, so I have some clients that are like onions. I have to like peel the layers back to really get to know like them and what they're saying to themselves. But I have learned as a coach, when I have a client say like, it was a bad week, I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it was a bad week. Like, I did this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, so what's bad about that? And they're like, well, like, for example, like, I had a donut on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, so what was bad about the donut? And they're like, well, it went over my calories. And I'm like, so that was bad, or does that make you bad? Like, where are you at with that? And they're like, well, I just felt bad. I'm like, you felt bad because you had a donut? I'm like, it's okay. It was a damn donut. Like, just move forward with the rest of your day. I'm like, you got to stop beating yourself up. So, like, I think for a lot of women, they get stuck in that, like, really negative headspace. I mean, it was like, we had our call on, like, Saturday, and it was, like, a Tuesday or Wednesday that happened, and they were still thinking about it. And I'm like, you gotta let it go. Like, it was just a damn donut. Like, let it go. And I think that's where a lot of women get stuck with their self-talk. is they're just like, I had an off moment. And then it just causes this spiral of kind of like, fuck it, like, whatever, like, it doesn't matter. Like, so let's talk about that, like, because that's where the consistency comes in. That's where, like, getting back on track when you have an off moment. Mom, I know this is something you struggled with for a long time. Um, I did too for a really long time. We still have moments, right, where we have off moments.
Yes.
But I always tell my clients the difference is I still have moments where I fall off track. The difference is now is I am able to talk myself into a better headspace much quicker than I used to. The old version of me would be like, "Oh, Brooklyn, like you had like 7 Oreos, you stupid idiot, like you always screw up. What's wrong with you?" Now I'm like, I had 7 Oreos. Those were pretty damn good. My weight might be up tomorrow. It is what it is. My calories are way up today. All right. That's okay. Maybe next time I just don't buy the Oreos and keep them in my pantry or whatever. Lesson learned, right? There's the difference there in the self-talk. Whereas a lot of women get stuck in the I screwed up, I had 7 Oreos. Well, might as well just finish off the box. Or might as well just say fuck it, like whatever the rest of the day, throw my hands up. So what shifted for you guys to go from like, that to over here? For me, it was literally just immediately catching myself when I started being mean to myself. Like it kind of, I do the same thing with my little boy. He actually caught me yesterday. It was so funny. I usually say like if you're saying mean things about yourself, you have to say 5 nice things about yourself. And so yesterday I was like saying something about my cooking not being very good. And he goes, "Mom, that wasn't very nice. You got to stop with that mean talk about yourself, about your cooking. Now you have to say 5 nice things about what a good cook you are, the 5 things you do good at with cooking." And I'm like, oh, crap, I've developed a little positive self-talker.
I love that.
I know, it was super cute. Jordan was laughing pretty hard. But like for me, that's been the difference. Because the old me would have been like, oh, I suck at this. Oh, I always fall off here. Throw my hands up, whatever. And I feel like that's where a lot of women get stuck. They just stay in that. Because the thing is what women don't understand is when you start talking negatively, you guys ever notice you're around someone who's really negative, it's almost like they're addicted to being negative, right? You know
Mhm.
someone like that, Mom. And it's almost like they just have this perpetuate like cycle of just negativity. And actually what happens when you talk negatively to yourself, if you guys didn't know this, it releases dopamine. There's actually been studies that show it releases dopamine in your brain. So then you actually become addicted to continuously talking negative. I know for me, because of the way I grew up and like that kind of negative self-talk, not you, Mom, but the other
Yeah.
person, it it caused me to have this constant negative self-talk on myself. And so I almost constantly have to pull myself out of that. And it's been a lot of work. I've had to really work hard at it because I can easily let myself go negative and be super negative. But I have to pull myself out and say we're not going to stay here. Like, hello, Brooklyn, stop talking to yourself like this. It's okay. You screwed up. It is what it is. We're going to keep working at it. So that's what's changed for me. I call myself out on it. I allow my husband to call me out on it, even though it pisses me off sometimes. Now my 7-year-old calls me out on it. That's super fun. So I guess like for you, Mom, and even Amanda, like what changed for you guys to disrupt that negative self-talk when you do have those off moments?
It took time. It really did. I started going back to the gym and I hired a trainer and it took time. But one of the big things for me is I tracked my food. And like on the weekends, if I went over, which in the beginning, I really I would have a weekend that I would go bad and I'd go back and I'd be like, I, I really overate this week. And he's like, Camille, it's okay. It's okay. Like you're back on track. Like you're here. So it helped to have somebody say, but Camille, you're here. You're doing
But
it.
it's
So that,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like you're here. You're back on track. Like it's okay. So it took a lot of somebody else stepping in my headspace and saying, Camille, it's okay. You're here. You're doing it. It's Monday. You're here. And also, where I would keep track of things, not on my big overeats, but it really took time. It took me being patient with myself. And like Amanda says, giving yourself grace, of when you screw up, like it's okay, like I'm going to get this. And I wanted it to last. I really did. I didn't want to do it quick. I wanted it to last. So I was very patient. It was a day by day thing. Every day I'd be like, okay, I'm doing this today. I'm doing this today. And I love how Amanda said this. And I know you've heard it. You said it too, Brooklyn, but trust the process. You have to get to a point where you've hit rock bottom and you're going to keep going regardless. Regardless, you're going to keep going no matter how you screwed up. You're just going to get back up and you're going to keep going. It's like you hire that person and you know you're in a different place because that person is going to take good care of you because they have the positive self-talk. They are talking to you like, it's okay. We're going to do this. So it's, to me, when you're in there with the coach, it's it's a partnership. It's really important because you've got to have somebody in the beginning that's really positive with you. I needed somebody really positive. I mean, I need somebody that's hardcore, that's like, yeah, we're doing this. We're going to kick butt. But then it's okay. You're getting this. And so that was really crucial. I'm such a mindset girl that I need somebody there. I needed somebody there in the
You
beginning
have
to
to be,
really,
Mom. You have to
you,
be mindset because you have a lot of negative chitter chatter all the
I do.
time. And so
Well, I do.
you if any like well, not really. Like I do my inner self-talk is like that, but my situation Jordan's my husband and he's the most
Yeah.
obnoxiously
He's good.
positive person in the world.
He's
Like
supportive.
constantly. He's like, "Oh, the house
Yeah.
could be on fire." And he's like, "Well, at least we're not on fire." I'm like, "The house is on fire." Like
He's
that's
so
like
good.
totally him. He's so like you have to work on that doubly hard because you have a lot of negative chitter chatter and
It's
that's
my
really hard to overcome when it's in your face constantly. So I guess like give some of our listeners like what do you do every day to like work through that constant negative chitter chatter that you hear?
I tell myself it's going to be a really good day. And I look for the good every day. I pray to look for the good every single day, to see all the good, the little parts of life that are good that get handed to you. I have really good, kind friends that I know every time I see them, they're going to give me a hug. They're going to give me a smile. So to me, people are part of it. I'm very, very lucky, very blessed with good friends that lift me up every single day. To me, that's just crucial. It's part of it. Going someplace where it makes you smile. It starts your day out right. I think it's crucial to listen to very positive podcasts, reels, grams, to be surrounded by people that are supportive and loving because sometimes when you don't have a lot of it at home, you need it when you go places. And so I've just been lucky with that. I was raised with really good parents that were good that way. And I had a mom that was really loving and kind. I had grandparents that were good and loving. And so I have a lot of that to draw from. And then I'm a big believer in talking to yourself in the mirror. I really am. I think it's important to write things and post them on your mirror. And in the beginning, that's very crucial because you may not need it so much, like where you're in my phase, unless you step to your phase, Brooklyn, where you're hitting pro stage. But when you're starting out, starting new, it's important to put reminders around your house, sticky notes or stuff on your mirror, and to say things to yourself in the mirror like, I'm beautiful, I'm worth it. This is going to work. I'm making this happen. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. I can see these little muscles. So it's to me that like when you talk to yourself in the mirror, it does work. You look at your eyes and you say these things to yourself and it enters. Your body hears everything you say. Um, it's crazy how it works, but your body hears it all. and be grateful for your healthy body and tell your body, thank you for working hard for me. And those things are really important in the beginning. So
I
very
think they're
important.
always important. You
Always
you kind of
important.
helped me through that a few weeks ago or a few months ago when I was having a lot of like, you know, just like a lot of like negative self-talk, like just like I don't know if I'm even going to do this. You're like, well, just start like visualizing it and start like
Important.
talking to yourself like it's going to happen. And I always like giggle because you always send us like these motivational like Instagram things, and I like laugh, but then I actually listen to 'em, I'm like, that's actually really motivational. So I started doing that, and I've actually noticed a change in the way that like I perceive my progress. So like as silly as like I feel like for women who are extremely like type A, it feels so silly and so weird. Like I'm not gonna do it without. That's weird. Like actually do it. Like I started like doing what you did, mom, and I started like listening to a lot of that stuff, and I was like, wow, I'm actually noticing a shift in my perception of who I am and like where I'm gonna go. So I think like all the things you're saying, I think all women should do that. But
It
you
pumps
you
you
have
up.
to do that. But it
Yeah.
doesn't just pump you up; it keeps you going. Even when you have that voice in your head saying, "Oh, you're not good enough. You're not gonna make it. It's not gonna happen for you." Like I always have that little voice in my head telling me that, and I'm just like, "Go away. Like listen to positive material." And it just changes. So I appreciate you sharing that with us because yeah, you say things and
Yeah.
it teaches me too. So it's I think in every phase, it's applicable.
Well, and also in the beginning, I remember I did a vision board. I had done a vision board like a year before it happened. And so it would be in my pantry, and I would see that every time I walked in, and I'd be like, that's right. Okay, I'm there this year. So it's those
Love
things
that.
that like it's cool because I had done that a year or two before I started, but I was right where I envisioned myself to be at that point. And so those things really work. I mean, those visualizations, those vision boards, those things that you do to get your mind there, they're powerful. Your mind is so powerful. Like you can tell yourself things and your mind will believe it and your body will follow. So I'm a big mindset girl, but it's, you got to do it. Just believe it. So, yeah.
I love that. I think you would be like you're such a good inspiration for women. Like you would think that your life is like always like so easy just because you talk to you and you're just like you always pour positivity wherever you go on like people's posts and like messages. You're always just above and beyond caring and it's so authentic. And I feel like that just shows like your mindset really is everything because you did that vision board and you're like, this is what's going to happen for me. And you really believed it. I'm sure there was days that you didn't, but you were like, you kept going and talking positive yourself. And that, I mean, look how far you've come. Like you don't binge eat anymore. And if you do, it's like very rare. And I'm sure at one point you thought this isn't going to happen. And like now you're like inspiration to so many women of all ages, especially women like that are in perimenopause and menopause that are like, oh, well, the doctor just said, I'm in my 40s and 50s, I'll never be back there. And you're like, no, you can. And so you've inspired so many women on Brooklyn's page and like myself, even that's like, I don't look as getting older now, like, oh, I'm gonna be like not liking how I'm looking. Like you can definitely change that. It might take a different approach and more mindset work, but you can definitely like feel good in your body at all ages. I love
It,
that.
yeah. But I think our generation is showing women that you can. Like, I think like J Lo, there's so many women that look good. They just fight age, and we're just, we're learning that we can do it. And I think exercise and food has come a long way. Like our education has come a long way. We have women that have shown us that we can do it. So, yeah, thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's inspiring. It's very inspiring and positive
Thank you.
vibes. Like it's, and like being around you, you just feel that like positivity. And I feel like you're right. Your diet isn't just your food, like Brooklyn said before, it's everything around you. It's who you listen to. It could even be your music. It could be what you watch on TV, who the influencers you're following.
That's true.
Like, I
Very
don't know if you
good.
guys know who Liv Smith is. I don't, nothing against her, but she's all about the super skinny 800 calorie diet. and all these young girls are following her, and it just breaks my heart because I'm like, I feel bad for her too, because I'm like, she's like making herself small as possible at the worst cost possible. It's like you have to be careful who you let in your ears when listening or who you're watching because it can affect so much. And like you'd be like, well, I'm not as good as her. It's like she's literally telling the world she's eating under 1,200 calories on purpose. Don't do that. You're better. You deserve to feel good. You're better than shrinking yourself at the cost of your health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I love all that. I think, yeah, the positive self talk, it goes a long way for a lot of women. Like, and like, yeah, I think like addressing your who you're following and who you're listening to and who you're looking up to. Are they living what you want, or are they doing, things that you might not agree with, or whatever that may be? Like, I think like checking what you're listening to every day. Like I'll have clients that are just so stressed, and I'm like, what are you listening to? And they're like, well, I listen to the news on the way to work, and then on the way home from work I listen to the news. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'd be stressed out too. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, honestly, is that helping you? Like, is that making you feel better? Like, how do you feel when you get done listening to that stuff? You're like, I feel like I want to punch a wall. And I'm like, okay, so you just got done working an 8-hour day, and then you listen to more shitty stuff that's more stressful, and then you want to go punch a wall. I'm like, that's not helping you. So like, I think like for a lot of women, it's just like listen to more positive material. Like what goes in to your ears is the way, like my mom said, like it's the way you talk to yourself. If you're listening to a lot of negativity, you're also going to be not only negative, but you're probably not going to get very far where you want to be. Yeah, I would say those things are so huge. Anything else you guys wanted to add, like as far as like changing up your self talk? Because I feel like a lot of women, I don't know, they really struggle with that, and it is sad because that's kind of the world we live in. It's just like it's so normalized to be negative. There's a lot of negativity, but there's also a lot of positivity, and you can find it. You just have to attract it.
I will
That's right.
say, like my clients, I did one of the biggest things. I'm sure Brooklyn, you've seen this, Camille, and I felt this. I was a scale girly. Like the scale literally will make or break their entire day, like their mood, and it could be like a pound or two, and it really like emphasizes to them how they've been all week. And I'm like, no, you did this, and this right
Yeah,
in your strength training. So that's when I learned from coach, like when I was a client, like, let's take the scale out.
yeah,
And that's causing you something like that is causing you so much negative talk and it's a trigger. That's where having the right person in your corner that understands this and's been there. And now as a coach to be like, so let's do body measurements if you're okay with pictures. If not, or how about like more importantly, like how's your energy?
yeah,
Wait, you went to the bathroom more this week and you're sleeping better and your energy's better. I'd say that's all humongous wins. So let's not look at the scale. That's such a small indicator of what success is. And I think Camille probably understands because, like, remember like the 90s when it was like no fat and then it was keto, no carbs.
Yeah.
And it was all about like shrinking and women shouldn't have muscles back in the day. And now it's like so much more normalized. Women should be strength training for overall health and for how they want to look. And it's like if you're strength training, the scale is not going to tell you if it's fat or muscle. That's huge. It's like that's where your coach comes in and is listen to your coach in your ear to be like, no. Brooklyn will tell you, she told me like she's 15 pounds heavier than she once was when she was her lightest because of muscle, but she's like most fit she's ever been. So it's not about being the smallest. And if the scale is one of those things triggering you, that's where having the right person is going to be like, no, you're doing so many amazing right things. We're not going to, we're not going to like stall your fat loss progress by you looking at the scale and then, being demotivated the rest of the week. It's just not going to work.
Very true.
that. I love that. Anything you wanted to add, Mom, about self talk or anything like that when it
Well, one of
comes to
the
those
things that just
things?
kept coming to me is I remember before my hip surgery, and I had already started training, I'd already done a competition. I knew what your mindset did for you. But I just remember when I went to go get my hip replacement. Yes, I've had a hip replacement. And I just thought, some people go to the doctor and they're like, this isn't going to work. This is going to be such a long recovery. Oh, this is just going to take forever. It's going to set me back. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, I'm going to recover so quick. I'm going to be back to the gym in a week. And it's how you talk to yourself. But when you actually, this is proven, the people that go into surgery with positive self-talk, they know they're going to do it. They're going to get into recovery quick. They do. They bust through every ounce of, what do they call them? What the doctor expects from them. They make it. They recover quick, and it is proven. They have done studies on this. The people that have negative self-talk, they struggle making it through. They just struggle with recovery. They have a hard time getting up and walking again. But the people that talk positive to themselves, they recover so quick. They are up and at 'em after those surgeries quick. Your body hears everything. And it's funny because it's not funny. It's way, way cool. But I think that's when I realized this stuff really works. Like, oh my gosh, I recovered so, and although I did go into my surgery really um, healthy, I had been eating healthy, I had been training. So my body was ready for it. My body was strong. But it's how you talk to yourself, how you come out of it. When you come out of it, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all of this. I'm going to beat it. I'm going to beat everybody that says that it's a hard surgery, and I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to be one of the best ones. And I really was. I was like the poster child for a hip replacement. But your self-talk makes the world of difference in every area of your life. It can make or break you. And so when you start something, you just tell yourself, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. I'm going to kick ass. And you really will. And there will be those days that are a little harder. And then that's when you go, okay, day by day, I'm going to do this day by day, and I'm going to trust the process. And then you'll have those days that you'll kick ass and you'll be a strong you know, but you're going to be on top of the world.
What?
And
A strong mother what?
a strong motherfucker. Yeah. So yeah, it's your body just hears it and it follows along, and you can pump yourself up even when you've got all these things that hit you. You can get yourself out of those funks. And sometimes it takes a lot more positive self-talk than others, but you can do it. And it just takes time to learn that you're doing it. And it just takes time. And then when you see it work, you're like, holy shit, this stuff really works. And it's really fun to watch yourself come out of these funks. But yeah, so there are good days and bad days. The good days are amazing. The bad days are harder, but that's when you look back on yourself, like Amanda said, with pictures. And, you talk to your coach, and your coach is like, well, this is where you used to be. Look at you now. So that's when you use that. You can look back on things and you're like, I'm doing it. I'm kicking ass. So that's when you learn from yourself. So that's pretty cool.
I love that. I think, again, it kind of comes back to like having a coach. Like sometimes you've got to have, like, I will call my clients out if I'm noticing they're really negative. I'm like, I'm just going to be honest with you here. And I'm like, can I say something really bluntly? And they're just like, sure. And I'm like, the last two calls we've had, you've been really negative. And I said, I know you're going through a lot, but you got to bite that in the ass. And I'm like, we got to stop, because you are going to send yourself into a really bad headspace, and you're not going to reach your goals at this rate. And they're a little pissed maybe at me initially for calling them out, but like, what are they paying me for? To sit there and bitch about their lives? So I'm like, hey, I understand you're going through a lot right now, but at the same time, like, you've got to take some control back here. So then I have them start listening to like positive podcasts. Like, not like, I don't like the toxic positivity podcast. It's like, just be happy. Like, that's so annoying. If someone tells me to just be happy, I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, it's more so like, what can you control kind of podcasts? What can I actually do to take control of my life? What can I focus on to make it a better day? That's it. That's as simple as it gets. And you do that, like, that's a big shift. but that's where having a coach, honestly, I call them like the people in my life who I let call me out. I let them call me out. Like I have a coach that I communicate with as well, and sometimes he calls me out. My husband calls me out. Mom, you've called me out, but like in a nice way. Like you're very like, well, this is what I do, and it's really helped. You know,
I sound like
I'm like
that. What
so
is
bad
that?
with people.
That girl on the mom on Just Friends? Be yourself. Be
Be
yourself.
yourself. That's exactly what it. That's literally you, but like way cooler.
Way
That's so
cooler.
funny,
Yeah.
but way cooler. Yeah, so that I like that because I think that's where a lot of women do get stuck is in that negative like head spin. You know, they get so, and I won't lie, like I'm not gonna sit here and be like I'm the most positive person in the world because I'm really not. Like you can ask Jordan, like poor guy, like he's probably like she's just insane. That's all. Like she's just a crazy person. But like it's a lot of me having to reframe the way I talk to myself. So yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to add, like for our listeners to help them with their self talk?
No,
No, I
you
think
guys,
that's perfect.
great job.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, really, like, those are probably the biggest things, like, as far as, like, working with women goes, myself too, is just, like, first of all, recognizing it, maybe have people in your life that help you call it out. And sometimes you got to call it out yourself. Like, I literally would be like, Brooklyn, you're being so negative. Like, oh, like, I get, like, if I don't even like listening to myself or, like, I'm like, we're done. Like, we're done with that. I'll listen to, like, some positive material. I will try to like focus on like what am I grateful for, like what are things in my life. I was reading a book and it said the best way to have a gratitude list or to be grateful is to think about all the things in your life that if you didn't have them or if you lost them today, how devastating that would be. And immediately it's like, oh my gosh, like well, of course, like the people in my life, like my family, you know, my home, like you know, these things. Wow, I am so grateful. And I feel like when I think that way, I immediately am able to shift it. That helps me get out of my negative headspace. I think I
I
had
love that.
a few other things on there, but I can't remember exactly what. So, um, and then like once you reframe it, it's just a matter of just like focusing on what do I actually have control over here, and then setting action steps from there. So
Well, and it's
that's really the
important to
biggest.
feel your feelings. It really is important to feel your feelings and work through those. Give yourself permission to work through those hard things and then pick yourself up. So it's
Yeah,
important to be real with yourself and then give yourself grace, as you guys say, and just love yourself and know you've got this. And you have people that are there with you. And give somebody a call if you need to, or just, yeah.
yeah.
So,
Usually when I'm in a bad headspace, I call Jordan or I just go work out. Sometimes just working out for me gets me out of my head
oh, isn't
because I'll
that the
be like
truth?
really negative and I'll go train and then I'm like, who the fuck was that? Like she was mean. And then I like work out. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I needed to work out a little bit. Like I was just a little bitchy mode. So that helps sometimes too. Like just moving your body,
Oh, yeah.
disrupting the
Always.
cycle too. Disrupting the negativity cycle is helpful. Yeah, that's one thing I do that helps. So, okay. Well, I think this was a really great podcast. We're going to go and wrap it up here, guys. Anything you wanted to add, Amanda, Mom, on top of
Wow.
everything we
I
mentioned?
think everything was well said. Everything at Camille when you said it really hit home, and I love this, and I think it'll also help a lot of people that when they get stuck inside their head that you know they're not alone, and there's different ways that you can control certain things that'll help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're struggling with like your negative headspace too, I would say have people in your life that you're not going to get offended by that can call you out. You might get a little offended, but like I feel like that helps me a lot. So I'm a really negative person naturally, so to have someone to call me out on it is super helpful. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that helps me. So, yeah, awesome guys. All right, well, thank you guys for so much for hopping on today. Like, share, review the podcast. It helps us a lot, guys. And I appreciate you guys hopping on today. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.